Let's move on from this story to actually bring you another perspective. So this is clearly an issue of adulteration, a very serious issue of adulteration, which we will keep tracking. But the larger story emerging from this entire, the news that came in is also of the abuse of cough syrups that is going on all over. Let me bring in Dr. Sanjeev Bagai. He's a senior consultant pediatrician, chairman at the Nephron Clinic, and Dr. Rajiv Seth is also with us. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, it's shocking, it tears my heart that this is corruption taking away lives of young kids. But let's leave that for a moment aside. I was speaking to pediatricians while doing the research for the story, and they said, Sonal, you know what? Even when we tell parents not to give cough syrups, they go and they purchase from the chemist and they sort of give it to the child without even taking our consideration. So there is a massive movement required to say that we don't need cough syrups until the age of 6. I just read it out in front of everybody as well, from CDC to FDA to any of the credible, bodies which are monitoring. They will say cough syrups actually don't do anything. Wouldn't you agree?
Good evening. So two quick parts to your story. One is, of course, is the issue of use of antitussives, which we call as cough syrups. Unfortunately, in India, most of the cough syrups are being used rampantly. Even up to, in some studies, 87% of the prescriptions in the pediatric and infant age group contain some sort of cough syrups. The second is this industry is booming. It's already reached a 1.6 billion industry. And frankly speaking, on the ground, the attitude is no one cares. One of the most unregulated sectors of Indian healthcare, which affects the doctors as a medical fraternity and clinical outcomes, is the chemist and the pharma outlets, which actually sell these without a prescription and without a valid dated prescription. With regards to the use on and the indications of the cough syrups help in specific indications, provided it is used in a calculated dose under medical monitoring. Unfortunately, when patients repeat the prescriptions and the child does not recover from one dose, they tend to give a second dose at a quicker interval, or they combine it with another cough syrup, hoping and anticipating and praying to God that the cough may go away, without actually wondering what the etiology of the cause is. That means the cause. With regards to contamination, this is the clear breach of trust, failure in system of processes, failure of quality control. This is the contaminant which causes acute kidney injury. It causes crystals in the kidney, and the children die very quickly within 36 hours. But cough syrups require regulation. They require monitoring. It's not that cough syrups are not used at all in the pediatric age group. They are used, but under a particular calculated dose, under medical supervision, and with a follow-up check on how the child is doing.
Okay, Dr. Rajiv Seth is also with us. Dr. Seth, then just taking off from what Dr. Bagai said, under what circumstances would you give cough syrup at all to kids below 6?
Well, how about I start? When should we give cough syrups? Beginning when the baby is just born. Right from newborn to 1 year, say a period of life which is called infancy, there is no indication for giving any cough syrup. Usually these small babies are obligate nose breathers. They need nasal saline salt solutions to clean their nose. And if they can be sucked out and cleaned, majority, they can be in steam as an inhalation safely. And that is all they would need. And only in certain situations and circumstances, when the nose congestion actually travels down into the lungs, leading to a reactive airway disease or bronchial, we need an expectorant, not a suppressant even at that stage. So till about 2 years, dextromethorphan, which has been listed in your listing, has not been recommended by US FDA. It is not to be used rampantly. And the problem is that the children are seen not just by pediatricians, they are seen by any qualified or not so qualified doctors. There are probably more untrained doctors around, and there are registered medical practitioners. If you go in smaller towns and cities, and Chitwara you mentioned, in those they don't have qualified doctors. Registered medical practitioners, the number is more than the police force. So essentially so many doctors, so many people giving these various cough suppressants is not to be used.
Dr. Pagai, then what about stuff like Ambrodril, which is given very often, but that's the case when you have a cough with phlegm, right? I just want to educate any parent watching right now, any grandparent watching right now, that there are different kind of coughs. In the dry cough situation, you don't use anything at all. But if you have a wet cough, in those situations, what should one reach out to? From what I understand, Ambrodril-esque kind of things are given when you just want to loosen the phlegm. Is that correct?
I wish pediatrics and medical science was as easy that we could tell the parents what to do on a television program, but
We can
fortunately
try.
so it is not. Okay. Now, on a more serious note, so I think cough syrup should only be used, bullet points only should be used under medical indication under advice of a qualified pediatrician. Very often, adult physicians or GPs are not as well qualified to treat children. Point number
Okay.
two, the cough syrups often are coming in combinations not only of cough suppressants, but very often with bronchodilators. That means derivatives of salbutamol or salmeterol, which are used more for wheezing and bronchitis and other kind of indications like asthma. So combination cough syrups are very dangerous because the dose calculations becomes a huge mess. Point number three, combination of cough syrups. That means very often parents tend to use 2 cough syrups at a time, which becomes very counterproductive. Point number 4, these are calculated with regards body weight. And very often children also are receiving other medications like antibiotics or fever medicine. So we have to be careful of the end organ damage. That means we have to take care that the liver and the kidneys are not affected with overuse of these medications. Again, as a summary, over-the-counter cough syrups, especially in smaller children, without medical supervision, is pure hazardous.
Pure hazardous. Let me quickly give the last word to the other doctor as well. Dr. Seth, what would you say? Parents not to use cough syrups at all? What about the Ayurveda ones? What about the ones which have honey and ginger in it? Is that to be given, or that's also just not to be touched upon at all?
No, I would say that if your child is having cough, you need to see your doctor. A cough is just a presenting symptoms for something very sinister sometimes, and it could not be just due to upper respiratory or lower respiratory. It could be other factors also. And a doctor needs to clearly examine your child. Like I said, in a small baby, the nose blockage itself can lead to cough, and therefore the steam or nasal inhalational routes, or if the child gets really bronchospastic cough, where you need to give a bronchodilator like salbutamol, a doctor is the best person to know what the dosages are, and then it
Yep.
is to be expect the suppressants of cough, as has been used here, should never be given to smaller children.
Right. And I think as a takeaway, I would like to leave the audience thinking about it. You know, we as Indians pop pills, take medicines like it's, like Tic Tac, like gems. That's not how it's supposed to work. Every medicine, if it helps, it also has a side effect. We just don't know. In India, it's great that we have access to great medical health care, affordable health care, but that does not mean that we'll abuse it, because that's clearly beginning to show an effect on our bodies, and we got to be very careful, especially in the case of kids. Dr. Seth, Dr. Bagai, thank you so much both for joining us on this very, very important discussion.